Imagine a world without humans. No cities glowing at night, no highways cutting across continents, no satellites orbiting above the clouds. A world where nature reigns supreme, where continents drift like slow-moving ships, where volcanoes build mountains and destroy them again, where oceans hide creatures more terrifying than anything alive today. This was Earth in prehistoric times, a planet forged by fire, sculpted by water, and shaped by billions of years of change. To understand how our world was born, we must journey deep into the past. Far beyond written history, far beyond memory, we must return to the very beginning. The birth of Earth, a world of fire about 4.6 billion years ago. The sun was born from a collapsing cloud of gas and dust. Around it, leftover material formed a swirling disk of cosmic debris. Inside this disk, tiny particles collided. They merged, they grew, they became rocks. They became mountains in space. Gravity pulled them together until a young planet was born, Earth. But this newborn Earth was a world of chaos. Its surface was a global ocean of molten rock. Temperatures exceeded 1,200 degrees Celsius. The sky glowed red with fire and ash. Giant volcanoes erupted continuously, releasing enormous clouds of gas into the atmosphere. Meteorites crashed into the surface in an endless bombardment known as the Late Heavy Bombardment. Each impact released energy greater than the largest nuclear weapon ever created. The ground shook constantly. Mountains rose and collapsed. The crust cracked and reshaped itself again and again. There were no continents, no oceans, no life. Only fire. This was the Hadi Neon, named after the underworld. Earth was a planet that seemed completely uninhabitable. Yet even in this inferno, the ingredients of life were being assembled. The Great Cooling, when water fell from the sky over tens of millions of years, Earth slowly began to cool. The molten surface hardened into rock. The first tectonic plates formed. The planet's interior continued to churn, driving volcanic eruptions across the surface. Volcanoes released enormous amounts of water vapor into the atmosphere. As temperatures dropped, clouds thickened. And then the rain began. Rain fell across the entire planet, for centuries, for millennia, for millions of years. Water struck the hot rock and turned into steam. The first rivers formed. The first lakes appeared. The first oceans filled the deepest basins. But these ancient oceans were nothing like those we know today. They were hot, acidic, dark, rich in dissolved metals. The seafloor was covered with chains of underwater volcanoes and hydrothermal vents. These vents spewed superheated water filled with minerals and chemicals. To us, this would be a deadly environment, but for life, it was the perfect birthplace. The first life, the hidden world beneath the sea, deep in the darkness of the ancient oceans, life appeared. The first organisms were microscopic. Single-celled, simple, silent. They floated in the water. They clung to rocks. They gathered around volcanic vents. They fed on chemical energy rising from inside the earth. These microbes were the first living things ever to exist. They had no eyes, no brains, no hearts, no bones, yet they were nearly indestructible. They survived boiling water, crushing pressure, poisonous chemicals. They multiplied and spread across the oceans. Slowly, Earth became alive. For nearly 2 billion years, life remained hidden beneath the waves, evolving, adapting, and preparing for something greater. The oxygen revolution, when the sky turned blue around 2.4 billion years ago, a new kind of microbe evolved, cyanobacteria. These tiny organisms could capture sunlight and turn it into energy through photosynthesis. And in doing so, they released oxygen. At first, oxygen reacted with iron in the oceans, forming massive rust deposits that still exist today. Eventually, the oceans became saturated. Oxygen began leaking into the atmosphere. This changed everything. The sky turned blue. The ozone layer formed. Surface temperatures stabilized. But for many ancient organisms, oxygen was deadly. Entire ecosystems collapsed. One of the largest extinction events in Earth's history unfolded, the Great Oxygenation Event. Yet from this destruction, new forms of life emerged. Life that could breathe. Life that could grow larger. Life that could move faster. Earth was becoming a planet of animals. The first animals, a living ocean for billions of years, life had been invisible. Now it began to take shape. The first animals evolved in the oceans. Soft-bodied creatures like sponges, jellyfish, and worms drifted through the water. They had no shells, no skeletons, no jaws. But evolution was accelerating. Then came one of the most important events in the history of life. The Cambrian explosion, the rise of predators. Around 540 million years ago, life suddenly exploded in diversity. This period is known as the Cambrian explosion. In a geological instant, animals evolved, eyes to see, muscles to swim, jaws to hunt, armor to defend the oceans filled with bizarre and beautiful creatures. Some looked like living nightmares. Predators evolved for the first time. Anomalocaris hunted with giant eyes and spiked arms. Hallucigenia crawled across the seafloor on spiny legs. Trilobites formed vast swarms covering the ocean floor. Later came massive armored fish like Dunkleosteus, with jaws that could crush bone and armor alike. The seas became a battlefield. Life was no longer peaceful. It was violent, competitive, relentless. Evolution had become a race. The invasion of the land, a new world emerges around 400 million years ago. Plants began to crawl out of the oceans. Mosses and ferns spread across barren rock. Soil formed for the first time. Rivers stabilized. Forests rose. The land turned green, the atmosphere filled with oxygen. And animals followed. Insects conquered the skies. Dragonflies grew as large as hawks. Millipedes reached the length of a car. Amphibians hunted in swamps. Then reptiles evolved. They developed dry, scaly skin. They laid eggs on land. They were no longer tied to water. The continents became alive. The age of giants, dinosaurs ruled the world around 230 million years ago. Earth entered the age of dinosaurs. The continents were united in a supercontinent called Pangaea. The climate was warm, sea levels were high. Forests stretched from pole to pole. Dinosaurs evolved into every shape and size imaginable. Some were smaller than chickens. Others were larger than houses. They walked on 2 legs. They walked on 4. They hunted alone. They hunted in packs. Brachiosaurus towered above forests like living skyscrapers. Triceratops roamed in massive herds. Velociraptors hunted with intelligence and speed. Tyrannosaurus rex ruled as the ultimate predator. The skies belonged to pterosaurs. The oceans to marine reptiles like Mosasaurus. Earth had become a planet of monsters. For over 160 million years, dinosaurs ruled the world. The day the world ended, then one day the sky fell. 66 million years ago, a giant asteroid struck Earth. It was over 10 kilometers wide. The impact created a crater larger than some countries. The explosion ignited global firestorms. Tsunamis taller than skyscrapers swept across coastlines. Earthquakes shattered continents. Dust and ash filled the atmosphere. The sun disappeared. The world froze. Plants died, animals starved. Ecosystems collapsed. The age of dinosaurs ended in darkness. A new dawn, the rise of mammals from the ashes of destruction, life rose again. Small mammals emerged from hiding. They spread across the planet. They evolved into countless forms. Whales returned to the oceans. Bats conquered the skies. Elephants became living tanks. Primates climbed into the trees. And one day, a strange ape began to walk upright. Humans. The story written in stone, every mountain is a monument to time. Every fossil is a message from a lost world. Every layer of rock is a page in Earth's diary. We live on a planet shaped by fire and water, by extinction and rebirth, by struggle and survival. Earth is not just our home. It is the greatest story ever told. A story written not with words, but with time.